Hey guys, I'm Alex with Porsche Austin. Today we're going to do the Porsche 911 setup. Let's begin. First we're going to start with your key. On your key you've got your unlock, your lock, and your front button. So let's go to the door first. You can either press the button itself or you can come up to the door as long as you have the key on you. You come to the bottom of the door and there's a sensor that'll recognize your hand and you just pull it right open. In order to lock it, you can just keep the key on you. There's a little divot right there that'll notice your hand and it'll close on right up. Next, while we're on the outside of the car, let's go to the gas, then we'll go to the front, and then we'll go into the interior tutorial. So, as long as the car is unlocked, this will unlock. Right now it's locked so it won't open. Once you unlock it, you can pop that right open. Twist it once, you can set the gas cap here. We recommend 93, get it filled up. Once you're done, you just push that in, click it once, one click only, that's it. Then you close it on up. Next, let's go to the front. You can either open your front with the button on here or the inside of the door sill, there's a button, you just pull it. I'm gonna hold this down. To the left side of the crest, there's a red slide. You pull it up once. In here, you've got enough room for your overnight bag, groceries, stuff that you really want contained. If you have stuff like a golf bag, I would say put it in the back seat, fold those seats down, pull your main stuff out like your drivers, and you can fit it in very easily. There's some other videos on YouTube that'll show you how to do that. To close it, just let it come down and then push very lightly on the front and you're closed. Come with me to the front door. Today we're going to go over how to set up your seat settings and saving them. We can set up your mirrors, we're going to set up all of your steering wheel tech, and we're also going to go over the touchscreen and the climate control settings. Come on inside with me. From here on out, I'm going to do a POV with you so that you can actually see one-on-one what I'm going over, and I think that you'll learn a lot better that way. So let's begin. Let's first start on the touchscreen. So, sorry about the glare also, this is the best area I could find that wasn't as bad as the other places in the building. So on your first screen, it's going to say select language. So we'll go to English. This is going to ask you to accept the PCM. We're going to set up a connection. Then it says connect to phone. So we're going to search for a device. And here you're just going to pull open your iPhone, take it to the settings page, and we'll go to Bluetooth. And as long as you're in the Bluetooth page, it'll be able to pull up your phone here. So it should pop up as Alex's iPhone. So here it is. Then it's going to ask on the phone if we can pair. We'll go to pair. If this is your car, you just allow the contacts. Any contacts that you have saved will come through on the screen of the car with the saved name. So in this case, I'll just press don't allow because this is not my car. Let me turn down the brightness on my screen a little bit so you can see. So now it says it's successful. Next, it's going to ask on your phone if you want to use CarPlay, just go to turn on Wi-Fi. And I'll show you how to initiate the Apple CarPlay here in a little bit. Next, we're going to come into the Porsche ID login. You should have got an email already. It's going to be a welcome email from Porsche to set up your Porsche ID. Set that up. Once you set that up from your end, you'll just type in your email address and your password, and you should continue through the login. Once it logs in, it's going to ask you for a 4-digit code. Type in the code, and then save it as an automatic savings so that every time you get in the car, as long as it recognizes your phone, it will automatically log in to your Porsche ID. In this case, I'm going to go to continue as guest, and there's also a page that says private mode. I would deactivate that, and it will give your app access to your car. If you don't do that, it's not going to give you access through the car, and it's going to show a little shield and it's going to say no remote access. Next is the setup voice control. So I'm going to select both of these, especially the Hey Porsche. It's really a neat feature that I'll show you here in a little bit. and then setup is complete. Here is the new home screen for the Porsche. So we'll first start with navigation. Navigation is here. This is the nighttime mode. During the day, it'll change into a white screen. But for now, let me show you some of the buttons and what they do. On the bottom left, you've got a little hamburger button. So you click that, and it's going to give you access to either 3D maps, which is the way you see it here, or over the top. Depending on how you like your maps, you can select that. So I'm going to go to 3D, and then I'm going to go to satellite because I like to see pictures of the destination where I'm actually going. It takes a little bit to set up on the satellite side. And once it's set up, you'll see there's a picture of us. Let me zoom out, and it looks like a Google image because the bottom right does say Google Maps. All right, next, go to search for destination. In this case, I'm going to go to search at the top. I'm going to type in Best Buy. It should automatically start prompting up some options on the right side. Choose the best one for you, wherever destination you're going.
The route is being calculated.
As she's talking, you can turn...
The destination is on a restricted access
with
street.
the volume button here, you can turn up and down her voice, or you can click this guy on the side, and it will mute her if she's talking too loud and you're on a call or something,
right,
or you have somebody in the car.
Right.
So anytime she talks, just turn it up or down. And here is the screen after you actually get set up. It's showing you the arrow in here. And then also I have on the right side of the little cluster gauge, you see that it's actually giving you some directions as well. I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to go in through search for destination. If you have a home address that you want to save, you can just click home, type in the address here, go through the prompts, and you can save it as your home address wherever that is. Here's a recent destination as Best Buy. You can also use the voice command here to click and then just say Best Buy or Matt's El Rancho or Taco Bell, whatever you feel like searching for. Let's go back to home. And next, let's go into media. On the media side, you've got at the top, you're going to have play, list, or Burmester, or Bose, depending on what you have in your car. In this case, I'm going to go to Sirius Radio first. We had a lot of Sirius Radio listeners. And see this little music note at the bottom left? Click on the music note, and then you can go through different options inside of Sirius Radio. One of my favorites is chill, and so you can select chill, turn it up. If you want to save it, you can press the star button at the bottom right here, and now if you come back into your main screen, go to the dots, scroll to the bottom right, and you have your favorites. And if you start saving a bunch of different favorites, go back to the music note to pull up your list, and you're going to have your different favorites inside of that list. So right now we only have one, and if you want to delete it, you just slide it to the left. If you have Burmester or if you have Bose, there's going to be some different options. If you've got the Bose, just go to the very top, click surround sound, and there's one other button, I think it's called like Sound True or something like that. Just don't do the linear, and don't do the I think it's called the autopilot, which will follow your speed. It'll reduce or increase the sound based on the speed. But if you've got Burmester, you've got the option for pure, smooth, live, surround. Just choose live. It's going to sound better than anything on this platform for me, for my ears. Some of you might like the surround sound, some of you guys might like pure or smooth. Completely up to you. There's also the bass and treble, you just adjust those there. You've got your balance and fader. At the very bottom you have a sound enhancer and a sound conditioner. I'd probably leave both of those checked on. Next, let's go into the vehicle tab. So under the vehicle tab, you have access to drive, assistance, trip, and comfort. The different drive modes can be accessed either through the touchscreen or through Sport Chrono if you've got it. Or if you don't have Sport Chrono package as an option, then most likely you're going to have a Sport button right here or here. If you don't have the Sport buttons here, then most likely you're just going to find it right here in the touchscreen under the Vehicles tab. On the different drive modes, you've got normal mode, you've got sport mode, you've got Sport Plus, and you've got individual mode and wet mode. If you are in the car with somebody who's not prone to fast driving, then you probably will just leave it in normal mode. If you've got someone in the car who likes to go a little bit faster but doesn't want the full out race car jerky feel, then you can choose sport mode. So I'm going to twist the Sport Chrono dial to the right, and you'll notice that a couple things changed. Number one, the start stop function went away, because when you're in sport mode, the start stop function is not available. It will always run even at stop signs and stoplights. If I switch it into sport mode, you'll notice also if you do have sport exhaust, it turns on your sport exhaust, and it also turns on your sport chassis. Actually, in this case, it did not. I think you've got to be in Sport Plus for this specific vehicle. So I'll leave it right here in normal, just to keep going over the tabs. If you do go into sport mode, what you'll notice on the driving side, the RPM gauge will come closer to the red line, and then it'll switch. So don't think there's something wrong with the car. If you're really getting on the accelerator, then the RPM gauge is going to creep closer to the red line, and it will almost touch, which is completely normal. It's a PDK transmission, it's supposed to do it. But also, if you're in sport mode and you're just kind of doing some leisure driving, then it will come up to the top, but if you're not really stepping on it, it's gonna just shift up to the next gear, and the gears are displayed just like that. So if you're driving quickly, but you kind of let off a little bit, it will start switching up to the next gears. So it's more comfortable rather than a Sport Plus mode where it kind of feels like it's stuck in that gear, and the only way up is either all the way out to the top or all the way down to the next gear below, hitting the bottom of that RPM gauge. So I'm going to put us back into park, and we're going to go back to the screen. So on the touch screen, you also have an option for a spoiler extended. So I just pressed the spoiler extended. There was a little graphic here that showed the spoiler actually going up. If you do want to close the spoiler or adjust it slightly, just click this. It's going to ask to retract the spoiler. So you just hold this button down until the spoiler closes all the way. You may want the spoiler up just slightly, so then hold that button down for a few seconds, maybe 1 second, and it will stop almost all the way down, but it won't go completely down. Next, you have your chassis settings. If you're driving and you change between normal and sport, you will notice a feeling on the chassis that's a little bit stiffer, which is, in my opinion, a little bit more fun. It'll handle the curves a little bit differently. But if you just want to do some leisure driving and just leave it in sport mode, you can do that. You can even go into Sport Plus mode and keep the chassis in normal. If you like the way the Sport Plus accelerator feel is, and you want a softer chassis, then you can do that as well. But you can also turn off the Sport exhaust. If you want to cruise through the neighborhood without waking everybody up at 5 a.m. in Sport Plus, you can do that. Next, let's go to the assistance. So in your Porsche, you've got a basic assist at the top. You've got a warn and brake assist, and this specific model has a night view assist. But number one, let's go over the warn and brake assist and tell you what that is. So it says emergency brake functions deactivated. All emergency brake functions for the current drive will be deactivated. After restarting the car, the function will be active again. Are you sure you want to continue? I would say absolutely not. Just leave the basic assist on all the time, the warn and brake assist. And this doesn't mean it's going to prevent you from every single instance of an possible accident. It's just going to lessen the impact if there is one, and it's going to try its best to prevent one altogether. But depending on the conditions and depending on how quickly you are running behind that car that has a potential blowout, or that just suddenly has somebody pass out and they stop completely, the car is going to do its best to prevent that. But it's only a warn and brake assist. It's not going to be a save all. So please drive with caution. Don't rely solely on the warn and brake assist. And what the warn and brake assist uses is there's a camera system up here that's looking at the road, and if it notices that there is a car in front of you that's abruptly slowing down, it's going to display a red and white triangle over here. It's going to sound, it's hard to make that sound, it's kind of specific. It sounds like a digital bell, and it'll ring probably 2 times letting you know, hey, there's a car in front of you. And if you're not slowing down, it's going to try to press the brakes before you do, but I highly recommend you slam on the brakes as quickly as you can. If you do have the night view assist, this will come on in the event of, see, there's a little graphic of a deer right there. In the event of something kind of popping up at night, and if you're in the pitch black, it's going to actually display here. So you see the night view assist cannot replace attentive driver. So you still got to keep your eye on the road. This is just going to be a little resource for you in the really dark spots in your neighborhood, or the really dark spots in the back roads here in Texas or California or Florida, wherever you are at. Next, let's go into trip. This is just the trip from the previous drives. That's information for people who are just traveling across country. Comfort, this is a big one. If you do have the ambient lighting set up in your car, then you'll come under ambient lighting, and I would say turn it on. My favorite color to go to is the topaz blue, and especially in this car right here that we're sitting in, it's got the lighter interior. The topaz blue really pops. So just look at what it's done so far. It's going to highlight some ambient lighting in here. It's going to highlight some ambient lighting on the feet, and I turn all these up to 100% because maybe I'm a little bit younger than some of you all, and I really like the lighting. I think it really gives a nice feeling inside of the vehicle, especially at night. And even during the day, it looks cool. See that? So play with that. Some people might choose different colors. I do believe that if you choose red, it will affect you mentally. You'll probably start feeling more aggressive and driving faster. So please take that into consideration. Next, under the comfort, you've got your driver's seat. You can actually select how you want the heating balance, either on the back side or the seat side. If you don't like the heating on your back, then you can just change it directly to the seat. Most people just leave it right at 0 so they can heat both. And then the ventilation balance, you can do the same thing. You can have it either on the back or the bottom. Just leave it at 0 and take care of both sides of your back and your legs. Passenger seat, you can do the exact same thing. Comfort entry. So the comfort entry, for those of you that have the comfort entry option, these days I think every car has it. Maybe not. Don't quote me on that. I think maybe the 8-way seats might not have the option, but the comfort entry, I'd say select it. And if you do have the manual steering wheel, you're not going to be able to have it adjust your manual steering. And these days I think most 911s just come with a manual steering wheel. I think they actually got rid of the option on the 911. This originally, maybe a year or 2 years ago, a lot of the 911s came with the automatic adjustment. So these days the only way comfort entry is going to work is on the seat. So in the event that you turn off the car, once you actually click the switch to turn it off, the seat will back up in order to let you out of the door a little easier. Once you get in the car and you turn on the car, then the seat will go into your seat settings. So don't get in the car and think, why aren't my seat settings sitting correctly? It's because you probably have comfort entry on and it's waiting to turn on the car and assume the position. Next, let's go into air conditioning. This is a really important one, especially here in Texas where I'm at. It gets hot most of the year, so this is really important, guys. Sorry about the glare. The way I've got the camera is it's gonna have glare no matter what. When you're actually up here, you don't notice the glare. So it's just because I'm using this specific GoPro and I'm trying to show you guys up close as possible. Right here, when you notice I clicked that directional air on the body, notice that the air is coming out of the vents here, here, and over there. So highly recommend always choose this middle section for the directional air. If you choose the vent up top, it's a nice touch, but in my opinion it gets a little bit loud because of where it's placed on the fan. So sometimes if you've got the air cranked all the way up, you're going to hear the center up here a little bit louder than the normal vents. So I'd say just probably leave that on. If you are in somewhere that's really cold and you want your feet to heat up a little bit, then obviously you can choose the feet and it's going to send air out of the bottom, just like the graphics showing. But I get into a lot of customers' cars and I go straight to their AC because sometimes they say, man, the AC is not really working that well. First thing I notice is they don't have any of these buttons selected, so obviously the air is not going to be forced directly out of the vents. It just kind of freely flows through all the vents, the top, the feet, and the middle. So highly recommend, guys, if you can just choose that button, it's really gonna make you feel better whether it's hot or cold. Also, I recommend choosing the recirculated air because these cars are coming into most major cities where you're gonna have big diesel trucks or you're gonna have big semi trucks that have diesel coming out of them, and you can really smell it because the AC system works pretty well in here, but if it's bringing the air from the outside, it will suck in everything. Even if you have the ionizer, you're still going to pick up that smell. So highly recommend choose the recirculated air, and then that button right there will just sync up the right side and the left side. So let's come back to home, and I'm going to come down to the section right here because this section also has an AC control. So in the very middle you've got your fan, and you also have your specific temperatures. So depending on where you're at in the country, you may just choose low like most of my Texans do, or you might choose 72 because you're in California and you don't really need it that high. So play with it, get it how you want it. You've got your front defroster, your rear defroster, and then you also have AC max, which will take you just to the highest fan speed and to the lowest temperature possible. And then you have an auto control. So if you are in California and you do have this option to keep it at 72 and it won't just be running your AC all day long, you may choose 72. But keep in mind, when you're on auto, it's going to force the air out of all of the vents. Well, let's see if they've updated that part. Yep, it looks like it's still going through all of the vents rather than just directional air. Once you choose a certain direction, it turns off the auto climate control. So I highly recommend just use the regular, sorry, there's a GT4 RS over there. And the guy is just making sure it's working. It sounds awesome. The directional air is really specific, in my opinion, to having the most comfortable ride out there. So please try to go that direction regardless of where you live. I think that's going to be the better way to get your AC coming directly out of the vents. Next, a couple things. I missed some key points on the vehicle settings when I was looking at these tabs right here. I just completely overlooked them. So under the vehicle tab, you notice that you've got your sport exhaust here, but you also have the sport exhaust here. And you also have a front lift here. If you've got front lift, this is also an option, so not everyone has this option. So in order to use the front lift, you just press it once. It's gonna raise the front of the car. And you heard that little noise, and then it will say, save smart lift. You have activated the smart lift. Would you like to automatically activate this setting at this location in the future? And if it's somewhere you're coming a lot and you feel like it's going to be a notorious spot to possibly rub the front bumper, I would save it. If not, just disregard it. But whenever you want to lower it back down, you can either keep driving. Once it hits about, I'd say 15 miles an hour, it's going to lower back itself. But if you personally just want to lower it back down before you start pulling into that hotel and you don't want to look so goofy, lower it all the way. And now it says on the front, vehicle front lowered right here, and your cluster gauge. Next, here's one more touch of the sport exhaust. You've got your hazards. It's going to display there, and the little light's going to blink. And then you've got the traction control. I recommend always keep that on, but there's some brave souls out there who track these cars and they don't really care about that. They want to just get the full power up throughout the corners. In order to deactivate it, just hold it down. PSM Sport, vehicle stability restricted, and then you turn it right back on. PSM turned on. You also have PDCC, that's Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control. If you have the option, then it will keep the car flat in corners. So if you're coming around a corner going 50, 60 miles an hour without PDCC, you may notice a little bit of body roll. With PDCC on, it'll keep that car extremely flat. There's some really incredible dynamics. There's a video online that actually displays how it works from Porsche. Highly recommend, if you're still optioning out your car, this is an amazing option. This will make your car feel unlike any other thing you've ever felt in your life because of just the technology through Porsche going into the PDCC. So anytime I'm driving with PDCC, I turn it on right away, and people do notice. They say, wow, there's no body roll in this car. Like, even though it's so low, you still don't notice the body roll. Next, let's come back down to the section here. So you've got your volume control here. So it says right now I'm not connected to any specific source for music. I'm going to go back into Sirius, and I think we had chill last time. So there's your volume. And then this button right here is not even a button, it's just a little spindle guy. This is going to go through, depending on where you're at, like if you're on a list setting, it'll go through your list and then you can use it to click. If you are on the map, it's going to use itself as a zoom. Let's go to the map. There it is. So as I zoom right, it's going to start zooming in. And then as I zoom out to the left, it'll zoom all the way out and you'll see the entire globe. This is still in nighttime mode because I'm in the garage. So during the day, you will actually see a white map. It's a little bit easier to see, but there it is, zoomed in all the way, just utilizing that button. Above it there is a back button, and then there's also, if you can see, there's an options button. So if you're in the screen right here and you press the options button, it's just going to bring in options for whatever page you're on. So if you're on the music page, if you're on the phone page, whatever page it is, just press the options and it'll bring you the options for that specific page. Next, you have your notifications. This typically is only going to come on anytime there's some kind of update, major or minor. It'll display right there with a 1. If you do have some kind of tire pressure light on too, it's going to display as a notification right there. Homelink. So this is a good one. I'd say most people that have 911s probably have a garage unless you live in some kind of condo. But in order to do the Homelink, you just go to Configure Home. It's a 5-step process. So you configure Homelink profile, configure home, or configuration process of the Homelink has been started. Please point the remote at the PCM and activate it. The remote may need to be pressed for a while. So I've done this a number of times at customers' homes. You got to take that little remote that you've got and you've just got to hold it right here for like good 20-30 seconds. Once it's done, it will say successful, and then you keep going through the steps. It's going to have you actually, from there, you're going to have to choose one of the numbers. You're going to hold it down and you're going to make sure it talks to the garage. If it doesn't, you just restart the process, because you need the car from the PCM to open up that garage by holding your finger down on the button itself. Obviously I can't do it now because I don't have an actual clicker with me and I don't have a garage to work on, but it's not that difficult as long as you just be patient, go through the steps, and it will work. See, it's already asking me to restart. But leave a text in the comments or let me know if you need some specific help. Depending on which year your garage door opener is, it may get a little bit difficult, but I can walk you through it. We haven't had one that wasn't able to get set up, I'll tell you that. Next is devices. So if you are in a family that has a ton of folks driving your 911, then you'll probably have a number of different phones here. I've got my phone right here, which is Alex's iPhone. You can swipe it to the left to delete. At this moment I won't, because we still want to set up some other features. So in the devices, I'm going to go to connect device, because we still haven't set up Apple CarPlay. So connect Apple CarPlay. So it says activate, or please enable Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to use CarPlay. I've already done that on my phone. So I'm pulling up my phone now. It says limited Wi-Fi functions. Wi-Fi functions are automatically reconfigured for your current location. And then I'm going to go into Wi-Fi on my phone. So it's here. You can't see, it's not showing it yet. But Alex's iPhone's connected. To use CarPlay, please park the vehicle safely and follow the instructions on your phone. I just pressed yes to agree that I'm doing that. You have to be parked, you can't be moving. There's my phone. It takes a little while, just give it some time. There it goes. So Apple CarPlay, if you've never used it before, highly recommend using it, especially on the new PCM. It takes up the entire screen almost. It's really a neat way to drive throughout your day and have access to all the options on your phone. So in this case, I've got some of the most simple apps that people use. On the left side, you've got your recently used apps. And then on the bottom, you've got a home button that'll kind of take you back and forth between. This is like your daily driving tab, where it'll show some of your now playing music, your map. I have my location settings off, or else it would show me exactly where I'm at. And you can come back over here to your options. There's a few different pages, depending on what you're trying to use or what you like to see displayed on your dash, then you can choose from here. But in this case, I'll probably say most folks are going to be just using Spotify. So Spotify works just like it does on your phone. It'll have playlist, it'll have recently played, it'll have any of the recent podcasts that you listen to through Spotify, all through there. But I do notice that if you click the Spotify app and it's not opened on your phone, it may not work. So you probably want to open it on your phone and then open it on the CarPlay. So that's CarPlay. If you've got CarPlay turned on, then you probably have already enabled Hey Siri. So Hey Siri can be activated. Oh, there it goes. Man, Siri's incredible. Look at that. She's already ready to work for me. If you do have that option, then you can either hold down this button here, and here comes Siri. She's ready to work. Or
I didn't get that.
Hold on, Siri. I'll be with you in a bit. Or you can press this button right here. So the first press is going to be Porsche. That's the voice control from Porsche. If you hold it down longer, there's Miss Siri. She's ready to work. Hey, Siri, I'm okay. Never mind.
Okay, let me know if I can help with anything.
Awesome. All right, next. CarPlay's great. If you have questions, please let me know. Just make sure Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are on. All right, guys, let's keep moving forward. If you've got Android Auto, it's going to be the same setup. You're going to, if you've got the new 2023 Porsche 911, then you've got the Android Auto option. I believe in the past it wasn't an option yet until the new PCM. So if your PCM looks like this, then you're going to have Android Auto. It's the same way. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on, go through the steps, set up Bluetooth first, and then go in through devices. And you're going to, essentially you're going to be in the connect a new phone or something, and you're going to press connect Android Auto, and it'll be the same process. And you notice in this devices tab, the Apple CarPlay button is turned red because it is currently active. If it's white, then it's not active. If something throws CarPlay off and you're like, hey, my CarPlay is not activating, just come into the devices tab and make sure the Apple CarPlay symbol is red. Let's go back home, You've got your Sport Chrono option. So if you are racing around the track and you do have the Sport Chrono function, then you're going to have this Sport Chrono tracking mechanism. So in order to use it, you just press start here. So look, it's already running. And then once you're done, once you hit that lap that you just did, see it says lap 1, you just press stop. Stop recording. And notice that your clock also is working up here. So let's go to start again. See, the digital clock is working. This is also another function of the Sport Chrono package. You get the 60-second clock, and you get the digital clock too that's also counting down or counting up. And you also get a display in here. Guys, don't miss out on Sport Chrono package if you still are configuring the car. Highly recommend it. It's really a good tool if you're tracking. So we'll just go to stop. You can go to evaluate, and then you can go into more details about how you did on that lap. All right, guys, so let's keep running forward. Settings. So display settings, you've got a center display. You can increase the brightness up to 5. You can increase the instrument cluster in different ways, from the brightness to the custom view, to personal speed limits. If you're the type to be getting a ton of tickets, then you can set personal speed limits for yourself. I've got some Turbo S drivers who are notorious for getting tickets, so they set up their own speed limits, and the car will let you know when you hit that limit. Next, there's also traffic sign recognition if you have that option, which will alert you when you're exceeding the speed limit. Might get a little bit annoying because I'd say most 911 drivers drive a little bit above the speed limit. Next, you've got your additional display, which you can either do an analog clock or a digital clock. So on the analog clock, you've got the option, sorry, I was waving at someone. You've got the option to display it right there. If you are the type that likes a compass, or you like an analog clock or a digital clock, then you can set that up just like that, and it's going to display there every single time. So depending on how classy you are, you might choose the analog clock or the digital. That's up to you. I personally like the digital clock. Voice control, guys, this one's huge. Activate Hey Porsche. There she goes. I'll show you that in a little bit. Let's get started on that. She's really good. So make sure you activate Hey Porsche, and I would also interrupt voice control as well. Select both of those. If you've got the new PCM, the new voice controls are incredible. So let's go over some different options. Inside of the owner's manual, it's going to tell you some more options that you can control through voice control, but let's throw out a couple doozies. Hey Porsche, turn on ventilated seats.
I have turned on the seat ventilation.
Nice. Oh man, you can hear it. The ventilated seats in the Porsche is second to none. These things sound like jet engines. If you're laying off of them. Once you lean into them, you can't really hear them that well. Hey Porsche, turn on heated seats.
I have turned on the seat heating.
Very nice. Hey Porsche, play chill radio on Sirius.
Playing channel Sirius XM Chill.
Very good. That's my girl. Hey Siri. Never mind. I'm using Hey Porsche right. I'm using Hey Porsche. Hey Porsche. I'm feeling a little bit hot.
It will be cooler soon.
Very nice. Look, it's set it up to 72. And it's turning on the fan speed. So play with it. Learn the different voice controls. I'd say once you learn them, you're going to feel like James Bond when you're driving around in your 911 and you've got someone sitting in your passenger seat and you're just yelling at, hey Porsche, do all this cool stuff. They're going to really want a car after they see that. That stuff is incredible. shout out to Porsche for doing such an amazing job on the new voice controls. You got your updates. If there is an update available, it'll be in your notification, then just press update. You got to be in a Wi-Fi area, so sorry about the music. If you're in your home and you're connected to your Wi-Fi, it'd be easy to connect. You also have some legal information for you legal guys out there, and you've got some instructions. The instructions is where you're going to find some of the things we chatted about, like voice control. You've got chapter overview, you've got warnings, so you got air condition ergonomics, driving assistance, display and input, operations and use, luggage and transport, mobility and minor repairs, technical data. You've got videos. Porsche does not stop helping you any way they can. I mean, check this out. They even got the garage door opener. So Porsche has different video options, and you can go through those. Oh, it's trying to play one of the videos. You can go through those at your own leisure. I don't want to go through them right now. It might take a little long. And I'm going through each one step by step. Let's go back to the home page, and you've got your weather option through Porsche Connect for the first, I believe, 1 year. And you'll set up your location, which is Austin, Texas, and then once that's set up, it'll display just like you see here. So let's keep moving. You got your calendar. So scan the QR code to establish a Wi-Fi connection. Please open the My Porsche app, log in with the Porsche ID, and then you can start uploading different calendar items that you want displayed in your calendar on the car itself. Next, you've got your account login. Once you got your Porsche Connect ID, then you can log in through your email and your password and your 4-digit code. And then you've got a smart service. So right now, under the smart service, it's saying there are no service notifications. You've got different options. One says replace first aid kit, replace tire sealant, replace cabin air filter, replace brake fluid. So none of these are required right now because those haven't came up. Replace drive belt, change spark plugs. The car is incredible. Some of the things that it can do will blow your mind. All right, we have gone over all of the apps on the front page. On the left side, keep in mind, these tabs are also always going to be there, regardless of where you're at. If you're in Apple CarPlay, if you're in vehicle mode, if you're in air conditioning, these apps on the left are going to be your quick tabs. Let's come down to the main section. Hold on, let me get the camera set up. The main section is going to have your drive selector. So in order to use the drive selector, you're going to use foot on the brake. You're going to pull it back to go into drive. And then now we see right next to the 1 and the 0 miles an hour in the middle, there's a red D. In order to go into reverse, you just simply press that forward. And now we are in reverse. If you got the surround view camera, it will enact the camera. If you've got just the regular camera, then it's going to show the sensors here with a body outline of the car, just no camera section, and then you've got your backup camera here. And then on the camera section, there's some different ways to look around. If you got the surround view, you can click on like different views of the car and go to the sides to see how you're doing on your lines. Looks like whoever parked this, which was me, had done an amazing job parking. And this is really a cool tool, especially if you're in a highly tight spot. Right now you hear the beeper is going, so if you're in a situation where you keep backing up, you're gonna hear the beeper start, and then you see the little yellow here, it's gonna doot 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 doot. So as you get closer, it's just gonna start beeping and beeping until you slam that car. It won't stop the car, so please just be cognizant of that. And then in order to go back into park, you just press the P here, and now we are back into park. There also is a manual mode, so if you pull into the drive selector and you press the M, it's going to throw you into manual mode. If you're also just in a normal drive setting and you're cruising, as soon as you hit that first either the upshift or the downshift selector on your paddles, it will also throw you into M. In order to go back into regular drive, you just pull it back into D even while you're driving. Just don't push it forward. That is going to mess you up. Let's go back into park. Next is the ventilated seats. We had Porsche turn these on earlier, but you can physically turn them on the highest setting, or you can go to the heated seats, or you can do both. I don't know how many cars out there can do both, but Porsche says they did both because they want it to be a dry heat, so you're not sweating when your heated seats are on. You can turn that on. It actually feels really good. And on the right side, you've got the same options for the passenger. If you do have a top, a convertible top or a Targa top, this one that shows the top off obviously is the one that you pull back to get the top coming back. You just hold it down and it's going to tell you right now that the roof is opening, and then in order to close it, you pull the right side, the one that with the top closed, and it will close all the way. When you're first pulling down the top, the windows will roll down, and then the top will come off. And then once it comes back up, the windows will also roll down, the top will come back on, and then the windows will roll back up. If you have a convertible, there's going to be an extra button over here. It looks like a tiny little window. It might be actually up here, I'm forgetting where it's at, but it's a tiny little window that you just click that, it'll turn red, and then you can physically roll down the little windows that would be right here on your convertible. In this instance, we're in a Targa, so it's a little bit different. Next, let's go over to the fun part, which is your steering wheel. So this is your steering wheel. On this instance, you've got the Sport Chrono package. We went over that earlier, but I didn't go over one of my favorite parts of the Sport Chrono package, which is the Sport Response button. If you're just cruising down the road and you notice that, say, there's a gravel truck right in front of you tossing rocks at the front of your car, and you're just really trying to get out of the situation, you can press the Sport Response button, and look what happens when I press it. 20 seconds of Sport Response. It's like it throws you into Sport Plus mode, but with a little bit more aggression. So try it out on yourself. If you do have the Sport Chrono option, try it out. It feels like you just press the boost button, and it's fun. I mean, when you have somebody sitting on the right side and you press that button and you launch it, automatically they want the car and they want this feature, which I call it the Go Baby Go button. I wish you can put a little graphic here that just says Go Baby Go. But I'd say play with that a little bit. The Sport Response button, you can press it as many times as you can. I've never heard of anyone having issues with that. Anytime that someone's doing drag racing or launch control, a lot of times they'll press the Sport Response, they'll go into Sport Plus mode, and then they'll launch it just for even more aggression off the line. So try it out. I think you're really going to enjoy the Sport Response button, or the Go Baby Go button in my words. But play with that all you'd like. On the right side of your steering wheel, you've got this button here, and you notice that when you press that button, it switches from the left side to the right side. If you wanted to utilize the information on the right side, just make sure the red highlight is on the right, and you use the scrolling button to go through here. So you've got tire pressure, you've got your sport selections, you've got a reduced screen. So if you go to reduced and you just press the selector, it'll actually go to a reduced effect. So it's not so busy. You can just do some Sunday driving and just concentrate on some of the important stuff like your gas, your time, your temperature, and the temperature outside. And then obviously your overall miles. So coming back to regular, you just press the back button, and now we are back in the normal screen. And then you've got your map. Inside your map, if you use the selector, you can go through and you can do a manual zoom, you can do an auto zoom, you can do a 3D map, which I prefer, and then you can even do satellite mapping inside of the little screen. So look how neat that looks, especially once you zoom in. Porsche and Google did an incredible job setting that up. Very nice, guys. And next, in this car specifically, you've got night vision assist, which you just scroll to it and it's already engaged. And then your sport chrono, so you can click it, you can go to continue or you can reset, and then you can do your times right here. And then you can actually physically, using the little button, the scrolling button, you can stop it right there and then continue, you can reset, do whatever you'd like. On the right side, I haven't even gone over this, but at the top you've got your temperature, you've got your gas mileage to empty, and then at the very bottom you actually have your gas gauge. So this one's 4 out of 4 filled up. And then this vehicle is a all-wheel drive, which displays the distribution of the power from the front to the back wheels. Then your tire pressure monitoring will only kick in at 15 miles an hour. Once it does, it'll display all 4 tires and the pressure. So let's go to vehicle really quick. In the vehicle, you've got notifications, you've got service, you've got oil level, and then you've got view. Under view, you can actually customize what you see in this view. Or you can go through vehicle, or you can go through service. In the service, you can go to oil service. Right now, it's showing the next oil service is in 10 of 2023. And then in order to customize your view, you're going to actually do some stuff inside of the PCM to customize what is actually shown here. Next on the steering wheel, let's go over to the special button here. So that's called the shortcut button. It's going to display asking if you want to assign the current assignment as next station / next track. If you want to change that, just go to change button assignment. And let's go to previous track, create station, Apple Music, change phone, auto circulation, air circulation, I'm sorry, ionizer turned on or off, chrono start stop. So if you're racing, you can just change that to the chrono start stop so that you're not having to do it through the touchscreen or the cluster. And there also is an option to bring in the camera. So that's up to you. Choose whatever you would like, but I'd say most people just choose either the surround view camera or previous track. Coming back over to the left side of the steering wheel, you also have the skip next track button right here, so it's not necessary to do next track on the special button. And then obviously that's going to be your voice control. So the first click is for Porsche. She pops right up. Instead of saying, hey Porsche, you can just do it that way. And then to deactivate it, just click it one more time. And then remember, in order to get Siri, you hold it down longer and then Siri will prompt. On the inside of this steering wheel, this is one of the heated steering wheels. So there's a button inside of here. It's one click. It'll tell you right there that it's on. And now it's off. So if you ever feel the steering wheel getting hot, if you do have heated steering, you probably accidentally clicked that part right there. Next, let's see. Back here are your wipers. So here are the wipers. One click up, it'll be ready. You notice that the wiper blade is prompted up one. It's just a little bit higher than normal. That means it's ready for the rain to start coming. And then you go one more just to start getting it on a lower setting, and then high all the way up is the higher setting. So just depending on how you like it, I'd probably just click it all the way down, because most days in Texas or California it's probably not raining, but if you're in a place that rains, maybe just click it up once. But keep in mind, if you are going in through a car wash and your wipers to start coming on, just make sure to click it all the way down. And then on the left side, you've got your standard blinker procedure. Left is left, right is right. And below that is your cruise control. So the cruise control, in order to turn it on, you click that once, and it brings up a prompt right there. See ACC, and then above it's lane keeping assistant. So ACC is active, it's ready to go. So you gotta at least be driving, and then you push the stalk forward. It says ACC not available, driver belt not plugged in, and then it says you must be in drive or in manual. So get to a speed that you like, push it forward, and you are set. And then in order to go up speed, you can go either up here or down here, or just increase the acceleration with your foot, and then once you get to the new speed, you just press it forward again. Since this has adaptive cruise control here, you're gonna have a function, a toggle here, to either reduce the distance between you and the car in front of you or increase it. So depending on how you like to cruise in an adaptive cruise control situation, just utilize that button right there. So I'd say most people just keep it right in the middle, and in this case I'm just going to turn it right back off, and you're back to your normal navigation guidance. Next, see if I missed anything. Lights. On the left side you've got your auto. This is going to be your fog light, which is that little red light in the middle of the back. If you're ever cruising, someone says, hey, why is that random red light on in the back of your 911? It's probably your fog light is on. And then this is to turn on the lights during the day. If you wanted to show the red light at like a car show or something, you're driving around, just click that, make sure it's green. And then this is your parking lights. Next, let's see, I think I've covered almost everything. Next, cup holder options. If you have the smoking package, then you're going to get this option right here, which will allow you to get the ashtray. And if you don't want that in there, you could just, there's a button up here up front, just pull that back, and you can actually release this ashtray itself. If you want to release this entire thing because you don't want the cup in there, you can just take this out by pushing that same button right here. And there's actually another box that'll fit right inside of there perfectly. I don't want to take it out just yet, but I think you get the idea. So this perfect rectangle box will fit just in there, and it'll cover up the corner so you can stick things like a phone. So this is the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is huge, and it fits just fine. So some people are like, I don't have anywhere to put my phone. There you go. Also, keep in mind, if you do run out of cup holders, there's another cup holder in that corner spot right there. So if you got a guest who's got a coffee on them or something, tell them to be careful, but they can place it right there in the meantime. Or you can utilize the original cup holder right here. So that is up to you, and then I'm going to insert back in the ashtray. Next, let's go over some seat settings. So to the left, you're going to see your numbers. Once you get your seat set up, you're going to press set, and then you're going to press 1. And in this case, let's go over the seat itself. So today we're working with, let me try to bring it up a little bit higher. This is an 18-way seat, so you're going to have 2 more buttons over the standard 14-way seats that a lot of people choose, and way more buttons than the standard 8-way seats. So on the 18-way seats, you're going to have this button here and this button here. You increase the pressure of the bolsters on the sides here, or you can decrease the pressure. And then this one right here is going to do this section. So you can increase the bolster and you can decrease the bolster. Then if you wanted to extend the legs out, you just press the front of that button and you can extend out the legs. See that right there? So for my taller folks, you just hold down that button and that will get the job done. It feels way more comfortable with that extended out if you've got the longer legs. And then you've got on the very back in this section here, you can increase the lumbar support by just pressing the front of that button. See, it's coming up right there. And then you can decrease it, or you can raise it on the back, or you can lower it on the back. So you can see that button a little bit closer. Remember, front is to increase, back is to decrease, and then raise and lower it on the back. Then obviously you've got your normal standard tilt. And get that right where you want it. And then this button right here, you can bring it up from the back and it'll actually raise the seat. And the front part of that, let's see if I can show you. This part here will raise the angle of the bottom. So right now, you see it's got a nice angle sitting up. if you've got longer legs and you want to extend that seat extender out and have it angled, it'll really help out with the longer legs out there. Alrighty guys, that concludes the 911 tutorial. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section below.